From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on LALATE.
It's a big noontime here on LALATE with incredible great details about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021 today. In this recording, we'll go over that monthly stimulus check and why the Democrats may actually be giving you more months of checks. Then we cut to the fourth stimulus recon and why those Democrats might be giving you additional sums of money on top of those checks. I'll go over the breaking details at noontime. Then we go to the voting process, and I'll be answering some of your questions and explaining how a vote is done, what needs to be done, what's going on, why did things not get done by July 4th, what's happening this week, and what's the next step. I'll have all the details answering all your questions in this new time recording, breaking news. Then we turn to Vistimulus, which raises your benefits up if you are on benefits like SSA, SSI, SSDI, and VA benefits. And then we turn to the big money that viewers continue to get tens of thousands of dollars, $20,000s of dollars. I'm going to show you how to get that big money. It's your day to get it. It's a beautiful noontime. Let's get to the details, starting right here, live from Santa Monica. Good noontime, everybody. How you doing? I hope you're having a beautiful midday. How's your day going? It's been beautiful weather here in Southern California. In Santa Monica, the ocean breeze is coming in on from shore. It has a breeze. It's a little bit muggy, but it's actually cooler and not too sunny. So it's just perfect at the moment. Let's see how the week has in store for us. Jump in the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from. And how's the weather? In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021, a lot of breaking news on the first time you're going to see at noontime. First, that monthly stimulus check. Could there be more months of checks? OMG. Then we go to the recon part of the fourth stimulus. Could the Democrats be giving you additional sums of money? They are. We'll go over those surprising details at noontime. Then we go over the voting process. Now that July 4th has passed, what's next? I'll go over what they're doing today, what they're doing this week. It's all incredible, great news. And you'll have all the information so you are informed and educated about the next step. Then we cut to fifth stimulus, which raises your benefits up a lifetime and gives you more money than you ever anticipated, a lot more than SS200. And then finally, viewers getting $23,000 across the board. It's your day to get it as well. This is LALATE, America's only 24-hour a day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America. Live in the morning, taped in the afternoons. I'm live with you direct from Santa Monica right now. I'm back with you on afternoons LALATE at 3 o'clock, followed by evenings LALATE at 5 o'clock. Overnights crypto 5:30, evenings crypto at 7, and then sirloin back at 8 o'clock. Subscribe. Fastest growing cryptocurrency channel, fastest growing stimulus channel, fastest growing financial channel. 400,000 subscribers in 1 year. Next stop, 1 million. Thank you for yesterday. One of our most watched days of recorded history on this channel in several months. So subscribe. I want you part of this family. Also, like this video. 2,000-3,000 likes and consider becoming a member. Let's get right into that monthly stimulus check starting right now. And why the House bill may end up giving you more checks than we thought of just last week. Wow. Now, this is exciting. That House bill provides a stimulus check for the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year. Senate proposal is a stimulus check from July to December. House payout $1,000 monthly after the first month, $2,000. Senate payout monthly unknown, but word on the street is it's this. Now that's deliciousness. $2,000 over 6 months, $12,000 a person, or $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400 a person. It was just a week ago that we thought that the legislators may contend the pandemic is over. And that would result in just 12 months of checks, which would, under the House bill, would be $13,000. But not anymore. LA County saying the pandemic's not over. The airlines saying the pandemic's not over. Warren Buffett, the head of Berkshire Hathaway, saying the pandemic's not over. That could signal that with Delta, the House bill could end up paying you a lot more money. Pandemic plus 1 year, that would be more than $13,000 and more than 12 checks. Compare that to this from the Senate. I think you have an opinion. Jump to the live chat right now. And vote House or Senate, House or Senate. Tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. I want to see you voting. House or Senate. A lot of opinions have changed. Mine has certainly changed. Really, things are moving by the minute. A lot of breaking details, a lot of things changing. on this new time. Who gets this fourth stimulus check? Democrats represent that everyone who got a third stimulus check would get a fourth stimulus check. Democrats represent that single individuals would get a fourth stimulus check under the fourth stimulus package, $75,000 or less. Democrats represent that a married couple gets a fourth stimulus check, double it, $150,000 or less. Democrats represent that a family of four would get a fourth stimulus check, quadruple it. And Democrats represent that anyone on benefits would get a fourth stimulus check. Congratulations. The fourth stimulus check is not income. It's not taxable. And the fourth stimulus check would be the same amount for everyone the Democrats represent, including adult dependents. The fourth stimulus check would come monthly, not as a waivable check. It's not a check that waives. So if you see the check at the hair salon today, and it's going to fix the look because the San Francisco hairstyle from yesterday didn't work. Don't try to wave at the check. It can't hear you. Hey, check, how's it going? Oh, you can't hear me? The hair blow dryer? Sorry. It looks as bad as Nancy's style. It's not a rude check. Don't be rude back to the check. It just doesn't get its hair done right. The fourth stimulus check would come in the month of July for the month of July. And in the month of August for the month of August, the Democrats represent. And while Schumer and Pelosi said 1,000 times that the final vote would be by July 4th, they can still get to you in July. I'll go over what's happening with the voting later in this video. Stay with me to the third part. It is a lot of breaking news you're going to hear in this New Time broadcast. Let's get a preview of that. In the second part of this video, we're going to go over the recon and the bipartisan, the two-path process, and why the recon is giving you other sums of money. Wow, this is getting exciting. Then in the third part of this video, we'll go over the voting process, what they're doing this week, what happened on the 4th, what's going on next, and what is where you need to push. Then finally, we turn to fifth stimulus. Let's get a preview of the second half of this video. Fifth stimulus is wonderful. My viewers on benefits who were promised SS200 did not get it. They were promised on the campaign trail. They were promised during the transition to presidency. Never got it. They're finally getting the incredible relief as promised under fifth stimulus. I have all those breaking details coming up later in this video. But let's get some money. That's what this channel does. It's important to know this is starting to turn out exactly like December 2020. When you were waiting for second stimulus to pass, it was not yet passing. People needed money. And I said, I'm going to get you money. And I got viewers money, $250,000 of money. You don't care what money is, so long as it's big and bold and beautiful and a lot of it. So get a pen and paper ready. It's going to show you how to get this big money. And if you're in the live chat, jump in there right now. Jump in that live chat right now and post any money you got. If you posted before, post it again. This is what's going on. Viewers are killing it. Nisi, $23,000 she got from this channel. She got $20,000 of rent. She got money for utilities, and she got money for SNAP. Art got 3 items: rent, utilities, and SNAP. John got $12,000 for SNAP. These are viewers in the last 7 days. The average viewer for SNAP is now getting $5,000 to $7,000. If you qualify for a stimulus check, I do not understand why you're not getting SNAP. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. You absolutely have to get SNAP. It eliminates a bill that's in the house. It eliminates $400, $500 worth of bills a month. I mean, get that SNAP. Also, the rent, I was saying $5,000 you can get for rent. Viewers are getting $10,000, $12,000 daily. Utilities, I thought it was a couple $100. Viewers are getting $3,000 for utilities. So get that pen and paper ready. And if it must be Crayola Crown, I am not wearing Casey anything. I see what you're doing. I see Canute. You never ask me if it's STL Cardinals Red, but you always ask me if it's Casey Royals Blue. I'm not answering that question. So there we go. Let's get ready to it. Let's get right to it. You're going to reach out to different places. They have all different eligibilities. So if one says no, reach out to the next. You ready? Here we go. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, your county housing authority, your state hall, your state housing authority. Keyword you're going to say is rent assistance because of COVID. Rent assistance because of COVID, or mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. And there you go. You don't say words they don't know, like stimulus, or Mitch's mixtape track list. They don't know that. They don't want to know that. No one wants to know that. But if you're in the live chat and you think you know one of Mitch's songs, jump in the live chat and post what you think one of his songs titles would be. Let's see your humor levels today. But there you go. Congratulations to Tim and Linda who got this wonderful pot of money. The next pot of money is SNAP. Snap is a fortune. You heard Ari John got $12,000. But viewers like Lynn Glenn got it for herself, her son, and her mom, and Gail got it. The average viewer is getting $6,000 to $7,000. If you qualify for a stimulus check, why are you paying for groceries? I don't understand it. You need to get this. It's automatic. It's very quick. The eligibility is about the same as a stimulus check. Where do you get it? From Department of Agriculture. Call them up. And what does it pay for? Your food. How much does it pay? A fortune. A family of 4 in Hawaii gets upwards of $16,000 a year now. Why so much money? Because of 2 wonderful executive orders, one from Biden, one from Trump, that raise your benefits up 15% between now and December. So go get it. One of the things I've never said before is it's not retroactive. So don't wait around to get it because it's not retroactive. You could have been getting it since January. That I've been covering. Well, I've been covering it since fall of last year, but this step up has been since January. So you get it right away. Don't wait. And there you go. You're killing it. We're killing it. You're getting $5,000 for rent, approximately $16,000 for SNAP for Family 4 in Hawaii, and we are only 10 minutes into this video. Well, we got more money right now, and it's coming back from your states. The states have been ordered to return money back to you due to overpayment of unemployments because of computer error, not your computer, their computer. So where are you getting it? Direct deposit that you have on file with the state's unemployment department. When are you getting it? Reach out to your respective state and ask them to track the check with a computer that actually works this time. And finally, your last pot of money is wonderful. It's the refund check for IRS coming back from your state, from the federal government. Margaret got it, Cod got it, Michael got it. If you got it as well, jump in the live chat and post what you got, because every time you do, it inspires everyone else. You know, posting the information in the live chat inspires people. It also gives us information. Sometimes we think the numbers are smaller, they're actually bigger, and it tells us what's going on. So share your information. That's the spirit of this channel, people helping people. All right, let's go over the amount of money. Let's say you had $9,000 of total unemployment benefits. You paid $5,000 of taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. Congratulations, you're getting back $4,000. Where? Direct deposit that you have on file with your state. When? This month. Can you track it? Yeah. About 70% of the time that you can. Go to irs.gov, set up a username and password, do a transcript search, and reveal stuff that you never knew. Some stuff that you sort of don't want to know, that you sort of wish you never knew. It'll reveal the tax return you file, the taxes you pay. It will reveal, what is Mitch's singing range? It'll reveal, does Mitch have an operatic voice? And then finally, it'll reveal the refund check you're getting. Oh my goodness. Let's see that track list for Mitch in the live chat. Let's get to the second part of your forced stimulus check of 2021 update starting right now. Here's what you need to know is that this recon is where your money is located. But the recon was not passable up to 2 Wednesdays ago. Now it is passable, but it's also having other money in there for you. Oh my goodness, what's going on here? Let's back it up. Your stimulus is in the recon. And the Democrats have always represented they're giving you forced stimulus checks. And they represented it's in the recon with a lot of other stimulus items, a lot of other checks for the American people. But it was in there with roads and bridges. And roads and bridges made it very big, the recon. So over 3.5 weeks ago, Nancy, Chuck, President, Jalapa were meeting daily saying, problem, cannot pass this recon, it's too big. Does not pass means if they called it for a vote, it would fail. And you can't do it over again. There is no second rodeo ride. You can't retry it again. Once you do it once and you fail, you're done. And you used your recon. Goodbye. See you in the fall. Can't do that. So you got to do it right. So what did they do? They said, let's take the roads and bridges out and do it as its own path. Spin it off. And that split, as I call it, the split of roads and bridges into the bipartisan happened 2 Wednesdays ago. Your stuff is still in recon, they represent, but the split happened for roads and bridges 2 weeks ago. That left you with 2 paths, recon and bipartisan. The first benefit of this was astronomical. Had they called for the vote before the split, you would see nothing pass and we would be over. We would be done because the recon was too big at the time. Now that it has been split, it is passable. So here is what GOP and Democrats agree, that now that the recon is smaller, it's passable. Let's go over what a conservative print media's op-ed from late last week said. The higher the recon was, the harder it was to pass. By allowing Democrats to remove some of the spending and putting from the recon and putting it into the bipartisan, the overall price tag for the recon got smaller. Obvious. In other words, the bipartisan deal made the recon now passable. Sorry, Mitch, set you up. I mean, yeah, it's sort of obvious. The GOP had nothing to gain by blessing the bipartisan because now it is now set the recon up to pass. There you go. So that was benefit number one. Benefit number two came from the fact that now the recon was shrunk. The progressives are adding in other things in there. Now, let me go over the magnitude of adding things in there. The recon was like this before for roads and bridges. It was enormous. Bridges and roads are very, very, very expensive. When they took the roads and bridges out and they did the split, the recon shrunk. Sort of like that movie with Rick Moranis. Honey, I Shrunk the Recon. Get on DVD. Beautiful movie. It shrunk. Really small. Now the progressives are adding stuff into the recon now that it's shrunk just a little bit, like that, not like it's back to where it was before. And they confirm that. Now let's remember, a reconciliation recon is written by Democrats for Democrats to vote in favor of it. It's not written by the GOP. GOP has nothing to do with the writing of it. They don't want it, and all they're going to do is vote against it and lose. So what goes on in the adding things back in? Here's what you need to know, and I'm making this sort of new and clear on Noontime LA. A lot of new stuff in this broadcast is that when they're drafting legislation, they draft it in subcommittees, and the lead subcommittee is the House subcommittees. House subcommittees are delegated different items, but House subcommittees are taking the lead on drafting recon. They have the Senate subcommittees as part of the discussion, as sort of the part of the discussion while drafting it, but the House is taking the lead. While they're writing stuff, finishing it, calling for a vote, they don't announce stuff. So they don't appear on like Ellen with a 20-page copy of what they wrote. They just don't do that. So they may have passed something. They may have finished this. They just don't tell us. How do we know what the other items are in the recon? Well, we've gotten some indication from people talking, like the president, and we've learned from some of the congressional leaders, like there's money for children and money for seniors and money for medicine, money for climate and money for electric vehicles. But then sporadically we hear other words, and we're just sort of surprised when we hear them, as Representative Richie Torres, Democrat progressive out of New York, who says, I refuse to vote on the bipartisan unless we have a very large recon. And he has added in there housing stimulus, to which viewers say, wow, that's exciting. What type of housing? I don't know. Don't know. They don't tell us. Could they be adding in extension of PUA? Maybe. Could they be adding extension of PUC? Maybe. Could they be doing something for student loan debt forgiveness? A lot of questions about that. Maybe. Never know. Ultimately, you're part of the discussion. Get them with the purple power push to add some of these things in there. They have the space now that roads and bridges are out, and they are adding things in. Representative Elon Omar confirmed it, Democrat out of Minnesota, progressive. We have a commitment that regardless of what happens to the bipartisan, the Congress will give us a recon that goes as far as we want it to. Meaning they're adding things in there. Progressive caucus is meeting daily with the White House to ensure that the recon goes as big as the progressives want it to go. Number three, how are they able to do this? They're doing this by protecting the recon, because remember, written by Democrats for Democrats. And Jalapal and Shantz have been protecting these policies for several weeks before the split. Shantz said that the president said that the progressive priorities in the recon are the White House's own priorities. Well, of course they are, because it's climate and cares economy. What you need to know is that now that roads and bridges is out, all that's left in recon is checks for the American people of different subject matters, some of which we don't know. We are told there are stimulus checks in there. You have to push purple power. These legislators can change their mind at any time. Don't take anything for granted. They say the stimulus checks in there. They say they're monthly. They could change their mind. They say there's housing in there. They could take the housing out. So you have to push at all across the board. In the third part of this video, I'll be going over where the legislation actually is on the recon versus where the legislation is on the bipartisan. You can see that breaking news in the next part of this recording, coming up in about 2-3 minutes from now. How do we get to this wonderful spot? As Jalapal again. Jalapal had written Schumer saying, call a vote on the recon. The letter was signed by 12 House Democrats, who are among the 100-plus House Democrats. 100, did you hear that? That wrote the president saying, we're going to be putting monthly stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus package. That's a lot of people, 100 plus people. Can we top that? Yes. 7 members of the House Ways and Means Committee wrote the president a letter saying, we're going to be writing monthly reoccurring stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus recon. Now, here's what you need to remember. Earlier in this video, I just told you that the House subcommittees write the recon. Democrats write the recon. Republicans don't write the recon. Who are the House Ways and Means Committee? They're responsible for writing some of the most important parts of any recon bill. They do stimulus checks. They do unemployment, PUA, FBUC, PEUC, and they wrote your third stimulus check, recon, earlier this year, $1,400. They represent they're doing a monthly fourth stimulus check, recon, in the fourth stimulus. We need to push them, ensure they stay their promise, keep their promise, and that they represent they're doing a fifth stimulus recon check for next year. They also wrote your first and second, third stimulus check. Can we top that? We can, as today, minutes ago, we got confirmation that the president's agreement with those international countries, which he signed in person 3 weeks ago, in what's a pageantry signature, was officially confirmed today. The only holdout country is Ireland. So countries have agreed now formally, it's wonderful news, breaking at noontime, to that global minimum corporate tax rate. This is to pay for the recon, not the bipartisan. And what does this mean? It means it's easier to pass the recon now. Let's go over it. The president's paying for recon by raising corporate taxes, but he says in raising corporate taxes, he's worried about businesses moving overseas to where the corporate tax rate is lower. That's no longer a problem as of today at noontime. Those countries have now signed on the dotted line, raising them higher. This anchors fourth stimulus over to the edge of the finish line because now you don't need that provision in the recon about international taxes. It's in an international agreement. It's in the books. So now it's easier to write the recon for the Democrats, easier to vote on the recon for the Democrats, and easier to pass the recon. Wow, can we top that? We can. As we go into the third part of this recording, which is really one of the big, massive breaking news recordings on noontime today. That third part is so enormous that I just taped Afternoons LA, and it ran so long, the video. It nearly went up to 50 minutes that I had to cut it off. It was just enormous. So I'm going to see how quickly I can do this third part. I've seen your questions about dates and when and how and this. I have a lot of breaking news for you so you understand and you're up to date on how things are done. It's important you understand how things are working, and it's important that you understand how things need to go from A to B to C. That's coming up. It's great news as well. Then we turn to fifth stimulus, which raise your benefits up as well. Boy, but can we get something more wonderful than that? It is the volunteers. If you're watching this video and you believe you qualify for rent, utilities, internet, or SNAP, you've tried to get it, you can't get them on the phone, you can't find it, you're getting confused, don't worry. The spirit of this channel is people helping people. This is not about a channel with self-interest and people just helping themselves. Volunteers have stepped forward as viewers just like you to help you get this money. So please reach out to them. How do you find them? Open the description of this video. Go down the description and you'll see an emoji of a house. It's not Nancy's house, no. Click the link, it'll send you to the community page. That's news.la.com/community. On the community page, you'll see a volunteer separated from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Below a picture of some kitty cats. Reach out to them, and they can help you get that rent, utilities, internet, SNAP. I want you to get it. If you see the people in the live chat, they're getting it. I want you to get it as well. Now, they cannot cook you a tostada. They cannot give you a San Francisco hairstyle. They cannot give you Mitch's fabulous or unfabulous lobster recipe, but they can get you about everything else. And here's a little bit about them. I'll be back in 60 seconds with you with a second part of your fourth stimulus check and fifth stimulus package. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Noontime LA with breaking news you can hear for the first time ever on Noontime about the vote on the fourth stimulus. And then we turn also to fifth stimulus, which heats up as well. It is big news for my beneficiaries. They have been waiting for SS200 since the presidential election, and now it's being set in the fifth stimulus. Very, very exciting news for them. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Thank you for making yesterday one of our most watched days on this channel in several months. Hit that subscribe button. Also, like this video. Every time you like the video, it saves some of your play for me. Or bacon. Or hopefully the bacon. And consider becoming a member. The link's at the top of the chat in the pinned comment. Let's go right through fifth stimulus quickly so I have enough time to give you the big updates about fourth stimulus. Fifth stimulus is just so incredible because it raises up my beneficiaries' benefits. Let me get to that first, but first let me go over other things that are in fifth stimulus, which are less important. Yeah, another stimulus check. So there will be another stimulus check for next year. The same House members of that House Ways and Means Committee represent that they will be giving you a fifth stimulus check for next year. It would not overlap with fourth stimulus. Number two, the president has dedicated $1 billion to Social Security Administration to ensure that your benefits arrive on time. This is not only third stimulus check, fourth stimulus check, but monthly benefits. Number three, if you're missing a first, second, or third stimulus check, you need to do two things. File a tax return and request it on the tax return. There's an actual line item for it. If you haven't done both, reach out to tax preparer. All right, let's get right into fifth stimulus. And here you go. Fifth stimulus is what you were promised. This is what it, and it's a lot more than SS200 was ever promised to you from Elizabeth Warren. It involves raising up your benefits and then applying a new benchmark, and that benchmark's inflation. Let's go over broadly how this works, and then we'll do the calculation. First, they'll raise your benefits up one time. Then they apply a new benchmark every year. The benchmark is inflation. But this is the key year because inflation will be the highest point it's ever been in many generations this December. They're removing the asset limit, removing the income exclusion, and removing the marriage penalty. All right, let's go over how this calculates out for you. First, they'll raise everyone's benefits up one time only under fifth stimulus. This is you if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, SSA, or multiple benefits. Then, every year, they apply a benchmark. This would be the first year they apply the benchmark. The new benchmark would be inflation. This is all what they represent, and they represent that inflation benchmark would be applied in December. Now, this December is so critical because inflation is expected to reach its highest price point of many generations this December. This would raise your benefits up not just next year, but a lifetime. So let's go over the analysis. Let's go over understanding how high this inflation rate is going to go. Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, 2 Wednesdays ago said that the inflation rate has reached its highest price point in December. That is enormous. So what is left to know? The rate. We won't know the rate over the next few months, but we're just gauging a lot of economic inflationary data that comes out daily. Friday, jobs creation number, not unemployment number, but jobs creation number, hot, higher than Wall Street expected, inflation. Wednesday, lumber fell, biggest drop in 1 month on recorded history. Why? Inflation, housing sales surging, PPI, CPI surging, biggest numbers we've seen in decades. And then Jay Powell's comments. So Wall Street's looking maybe like a 10% inflation rate by December, up from 4% potentially right now. Let's just use that number as an example. Your benefits would be raised up one time. Then they'd apply the benchmark in December. And if the inflation rate is 10%, your benefits would raise up an additional 10%. Not just next year, lifetime. This is huge. This is absolutely huge. Then next year, if the inflation rate is 2%, then you'll be a +2 plus 10%. Wow. They're going to remove the asset cap as well. Dating back to the 1980s, a law that says you can't have more than $3,000 in hand and stay on benefits. Now you'll be able to have some stimulus checks in your hand and a taco. They're going to remove the income cap dating back to a 1960s law, says you can't work and stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to go away. Love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interests. You will no longer loss of benefits. You no longer lose benefits, and no longer fear loss of benefits. Viewers like Rob and Sandy will be able to get married and no longer fear loss of benefits. That is fifth stimulus. And remember, the marriage penalty is not retroactive. Now, if you're in the live chat and you see people posting these monies they've gotten, and you notice there's an emoji next to their name of a purple hawk, they are members. Consider becoming a member. The link's at the top of the channel, pinned comments. Members are delivered daily from me, a breakdown of all this big money under third stimulus. Remember, when third stimulus was passed in spring of this year, I said, yeah, you get a $14 stimulus check, but I can get you $14,000. Many of you, most of you, qualify for $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. I made 1,000 videos about it. Now, that money is still there, lots of it, thank goodness, so I want you to get it. Consider becoming a member so I'm delivered daily to you a breakdown of all the big money on the third stimulus for you to get. Also has a breakdown of what's in fourth and fifth stimulus. Which brings us to the big finale of that fourth stimulus, which you've been waiting for, which is right now. Here is what's important to know. We have no less than 3 bills that have to go over the finish line. Bill number 1, recon procedural. Bill number 2, recon substantive. Bill number 3, bipartisan. Now, recon procedural and recon substantive, I have done that video 1,000 times on this channel. I talked about the 9 voting steps, and I made 1,000 videos where I said, step 1, and I said step 4 is very important, and step 8 and 9 are very important. Those 9 steps are still there. The path this time is inverted. They made the decision on that split day 2 Wednesdays ago that they're going to start in the Senate, go to the House, but it's still a 9-step voting process for 2 bills. Let's go over them really quickly right now. Senate subcommittee. This is recon procedural. Senate subcommittee, Senate floor. House president. That's recon procedural. Now recon substantive. Council subcommittee, then House floor. Actually, Senate subcommittee, Senate floor, then House, then president. You see, that's a couple steps there. Then they got to do the same thing with bipartisan. Bipartisan. Only do it one time though. They have to go Senate subcommittee, Senate floor, House, president. Now, you see there, although I have not made that recording for a couple of weeks until, again, to bring it back right now, it is not a 1-day, 1-vote comment. So for everyone that is a new viewer who jumps in the live chat or jumps in the comments and says, what day are they voting on it and sending it out? There is nothing in the U.S. Constitution that allows anything to become law with 1 vote on 1 day. It doesn't exist in the U.S. Constitution. Maybe in a dictatorship, but not in a democracy. The Constitution requires the House to vote and the Senate to vote and then the President sign it. So nothing in the Constitution allows you to be a 1-day vote and a check going out. It doesn't exist. Maybe in an oligarchy. Maybe Vladimir Putin does that way. Can't do that in America. So that's the first thing. Second, you just saw that there's 3 bills that have to go over the finish line. And those 3 bills are not 1 day either. So let's recap. We have the recon procedural, recon substantive, and the bipartisan. Okay, so now you understand the vote. Now let's go over the actual document. I've seen some questions of people asking about the document. First thing, early on this recording, I talked to you about the recon document. The recon document, when they're doing things in subcommittees, they don't tell us what they're doing. They say they're putting stimulus checks in there. Maybe they change their mind. Maybe they take them out. They say they're putting housing in there. Maybe they take the housing in. Maybe they take it out. When they're finished, they often don't tell us when they're finished. And then when it's ready for vote, then they call for vote, and then it's all combined, and then there's a bill. What's important to understand is you have to absolutely push at any time because these people can change their mind. They can absolutely change their mind at any time. Take something out, put it in, take it out. That's number 1. Number 2, we see a series of publications out today that says what I had thought was going on when we talk about that July 4th date. Chuck Schumer said 1,000 times, and Nancy Pelosi as well, the final vote, not the first vote, but the final vote would be done by July 4th for the recon. When he said that, he was not referring to the bipartisan because there was no bipartisan. There was no split yet. So what's going on then? Here's what's obvious. and this is what happened. It's now confirmed. The bipartisan bill has not been written. It's not even close to being finished this day. So if anyone's saying, oh, they can call the vote on Tuesday, they'll call the vote on Wednesday, they'll call the vote on Thursday. It hasn't been written. It hasn't finished. Now, understand, I'm not your legislator. If I was there, I could write it in one day. We've had this in 2020. LA write the bill. Remember LA write the bill? They have not written the bill. Whose fault is this? One guy. His name is the president. It's his fault. He met with Sally Capito for 3 weeks. And every time they met, she had proposals. She never had anything written out. People are talking about where's the writing for this. She never had to write it out. Then that negotiations fell apart. So then he defaulted to the bipartisan group like Senator Coons, and they made an agreement, a gentleman's agreement. They did not have anything written out. And that was 2 Wednesdays ago. And you're certainly saying, okay, it's 2 Wednesdays ago. What's taking so long to write it? Purple power push. We did this in 2020. Where legislators shouldn't take 500 years to write something, go write it and get it done. So is the recon being held up because of the writing of the bipartisan? Absolutely. The recon was written over the last, however long I've been making these videos. And the recon, Schumer and Pelosi represent, would be for a final vote by July 4th. So then you're going to ask, because I'm certainly going to ask the same kind of question, well, if the recon has to go for a vote before the bipartisan or concurrently with the bipartisan, why not just call the vote now on the recon and then call the vote on the bipartisan, 500 years from now when they're done? A great question. That's certainly what I would say. But the problem is that it looks like there's not enough Democrats that would agree to a bipartisan trailing or coming after the recon weeks and weeks later, or days and days and days later. That they want them close in time, maybe within the same week or within the same few days, that if you voted on the recon today and got to the bipartisan, at the end of July, some Democrats may not agree with that because it doesn't look like they're concurrently. It just looks like, oh, you're just leaving me in the dust. I'm not done with the bipartisan. So there's that big issue. And absolutely, you have to push purple power because we saw legislators in 2020 where they start to get slow on drafting. This is different than calling the vote. Here we're talking about the drafting of the bipartisan, which is not just, remember, Democrats. It's Democrats and Republicans writing it up. Next, what's important to note is that there's 2 mindsets I want you to really zoom in on. I've done enough recordings to explain to you that the recon has to go for a vote the correct way. It has to go before the bipartisan or concurrently with the bipartisan. I think you can understand that. But these 2 mindsets I really want you to zone in on, which is number 1. This is just like December 2020, when people were waiting for second stimulus to land. If you qualify for SNAP, you should be getting SNAP. If you qualify for rent, you should be getting rent. I had one person in the live, actually, I think it's now been 2 or 3, that were in some of the chat comments that said, I really need the stimulus check. I'm behind on my rent. I'm about to be evicted. How many videos do I have to make about saying, get the rent? In 2020, we said we are not doing this anymore, where you're making yourself financially dependent upon the arrival of one check from the federal government, which moves slow. You're going to get money when it's available, like rent, utilities, SNAP, internet. You're going to get this money when it's available, and it's available right now. So no one should be sitting back waiting for the arrival of a stimulus check who's behind on rent when there's rent available, rent stimulus available. Get the rent. And if you're having problems getting the rent, the volunteers are helping you. They're salt of the earth, absolutely wonderful. The final message, which is the very important one, is that there were some people sort of passing through yesterday who had this, oh, it didn't happen, and now 24 hours have passed. No, it's never going to happen. Boy, that's sort of a weak soul. That's sort of a weak soul. In 2020, EIDL became law. And it said that within 3 days, you are to get $10,000 from the federal government within 3 days when you apply. $10,000, not less than $10,000, not more than 3 days. It's actually law. You know how many Americans got that money? You know how many people had to wait for the $10,000? Every view of this channel. Every view of this channel. And the checks did not start coming in March when people applied, or April. We started first seeing checks come, I think, in early May, if I recall correctly. Some of my old G viewers will remind me. You had to wait. PUA, same thing. States were slow starting PUA. I had countless viewers in Florida. They applied for PUA. It didn't go live for 30 days, 45 days. I had problems with Florida. I had problems in Texas. I had problems in Hawaii. If you were the early PUA applicants in March, or it was April 20th, I think it went live, and you did not see it go live, and you did not get your first check, you remember what happened. But some people in the comments yesterday, not my viewers, not subscribers, not Purple Hawks or anything, they said, well, it didn't get by July 4th. I don't see it happening. Wow. That's not holding in, folks. That's just the government moves slow. But 24 hours? Come on already. You gotta push. So let's stay focused. Number one, the path to get it done is critical. Number two, you have to push. You have to push to say, hey, get the writing done. I mean, come on already. Get it done. Don't tell me it takes you 5 weeks to write a bill. This is insanity. Go write the darn bill. Number two, but say it professionally. Number two, you have to make sure that they put the checks in there. You have to keep on pushing. Don't presume anything. Third, understand the process. That's why I make this video. It's educational. It's informational. I put one person in timeout during the commercial break, said, are we getting a check, yes or no? Well, obviously you're not listening to how Congress works. It's not bill yet. It ain't law yet. And there's no vote yet. So what do you mean yes or no? It hasn't been voted on yet. So this is not a dictatorship where Vladimir Putin determines you're going to get a check because he just writes a piece of paper and sends it out in the mail. This is a democracy where they have to vote on things. And so it just sort of skips the information, just sort of jumps to the end. You have to be informed about it. But you absolutely have to push these people. They can be slow, and you don't want them to be any slower than they are. You want to push to ensure that they stay on path and get that bipartisan written up. You want to ensure that they get that recon calling for a vote and don't use the bipartisan as a scapegoat to not start voting on the recon. You want to ensure they keep the stimulus checks in there and not change their mind and take it out. You have to push, push, push. And I'm with you here to push and keep you updated by every single element of information as it comes in. And trust me, there's a lot more still to come in. Afternoons LA will be a big broadcast, and I'm at the 41-minute mark, so I want to cut it off there. And with that, make sure you subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. Keep on pushing. Call up your senators and be professional, respectful, and say, we need stimulus checks. We need stimulus checks. Subscribe. 400,000 subscribers. Next stop, 1 million. Like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes. And consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Burrow Power, Calcino, VIP, so you learn the big money you can get from this channel. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next on Afternoons LA.